Hi, welcome or welcome back to the channel. My name is Sarah and this is going to be a mid-month wrap-up. So, the first books I'm going to talk about, I'm not doing these in any particular order besides to make this easier on editing Sarah. I'm going to talk about the physical books that I read, and then I will talk about the Kindle books I read the first 3 weeks of February. Now there will be another one of these at the end of the month, and this is for people who don't enjoy watching the vlogs. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. I'm just trying to find my rhythm, as it were. So we're going to do these probably twice a month, I think, moving forward. So to start off the wrap-up, let's talk about the physical books, and we're going to do the physical comics and manga. So at the top we have Star Wars Obi-Wan, A Jedi's Purpose. This is a collection, volumes 1 through 5 of the Obi-Wan comic series that came out, I keep saying last year. I'm not sure if it was last year or 2020. 2022, so it was last year. Time is a terrible thing for me. But yes, this is just 5 short comics, and each of these tells a different story from Obi-Wan's past, from the time that he is a Padawan to the time where he is a knight and a master, up into the Clone Wars. There's no super through storyline besides the idea of what is a Jedi's purpose. I really liked this. I especially liked this because it touched on the idea of the Jedi as more peacekeeper figures than they are generals and warriors, because until the Clone Wars they didn't fill those roles. They were travelers, they kept the peace, they went on envoy missions, that sort of thing. And this was just really good. The artwork was absolutely stunning. I showed a page, there it is, in a vlog, if you can see that image of Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn. Absolutely amazing. And some of these all had different artists, but they were all beautifully done. So I really liked this bind up. I do recommend it if you're a fan of Star Wars, especially if you're a fan of Obi-Wan and the older stuff. As the rest of stuff I read were manga in this category, so I read The Evil Secret Society of Cats. This is by Pandania. This is, and also quickly, there's a dryer going in the background, so I'm so sorry. In fact, one moment. Okay. I shut the door. I just realized I hadn't shut the door. Evil Secret Society of Cats. This is a bunch of single strip issue sort of style comics about a evil secret society of cats. Now keep in mind, their evilness is basically sitting on our lap and eating up our productivity time, or being adorable and distracting us, if you can see there. So this is there's a Mew villain in town. So like it's absurd. It's very cute. If you have cats, you're gonna really think this is hysterical, because it really feeds into the stuff that we always say, oh, I can't get up, there's a cat, it's chosen me, I must let it sleep on my lap, that sort of thing. Very fun, cute, quick read. At the beginning of the week I bought it for my husband for Christmas, and he hasn't got to it yet, so I decided I'd go ahead and give it a shot, and it was very fun. I continued my Ancient Magus Bride journey with volume 10. This begins the college arc, so we meet a slew of new characters, some of which are on the back here. This sets up what looks to be a very interesting arc. Don't have any strong opinions yet, besides that I'm very excited just to be back in the world with our characters, with Elias and Chess, and I'm always going to say her name wrong, I think. But this was a great volume. Can't really say too much about it without spoiling some stuff. Ancient Magus Bride, which I have talked about at length, is the story of a young girl who is purchased by an ancient Magus to be his pupil, his acolyte, and perhaps eventually his bride. And she is teaching him about humanity, what it means to be human, and he is basically teaching her about magic, and along the way she is learning to basically live again and find joy in things. That is, I believe, all of the comics and graphic novels. Yes, I had to check my list. The next physical book I have here near me is Rainbow Grey and the Battle for the Skies. I'm not going to talk about this one too much, just suffice to say I absolutely loved it. This is a HarperCollins book, and while they have reached a tentative agreement, I haven't heard anything about not holding a review, so this series is great. I really wish I could talk more about it. I mentioned briefly in some vlogs what it's about, but these are the books about Rainbow Grey, who was born without weather magic in the world of the Weatherlings, and in this story she finds her magic, and it's about the trials and tribulations she goes through after finding it. These are really short, quick reads. I read this one in one sitting. If it gives you any idea of how much I loved it, I made a cup of coffee, I started it, and then I read the whole thing and didn't realize I hadn't drunk my coffee until my husband came home at 5 o'clock and said, "Why is there a full cup of coffee on your desk?" So for someone who has a 3-year-old, and a full-time job all in the morning, that's impressive. Because that was at lunchtime. I was exhausted. My freaking spreadsheet keeps deleting the titles out of these cells. It's a good thing I memorized them. The last physical book I have with me is The Husky and His White Cat Shizun. I'm not going to say the author's name, if you can see it there, because I'm afraid I'm going to mispronounce it. I think you can see it better there. This was absolutely amazing. This is the story of the mortal emperor. He is like 30-some years old. He has conquered the mortal world. He has no more resistance, and he is a supreme ruler. And on his at the cusp of a attempted uprising, he kills himself, and then he is reincarnated in his 16-year-old body back under the tutelage of his Shizun, and he vows that he is going to get revenge again on his Shizun, but also protect the man that he loves above all others. But things get complicated from there. Please check trigger warnings if you are interested in this. And keep in mind this is a danme, so the writing style might be different than what you're used to, but this was super fun. I laughed out loud quite a few times, and honestly my jaw was on the floor quite a few times as well. Sends in a cliffhanger, so know that going in. I plan on getting the second volume as soon as possible. But this was fantastic. So as for the stuff that I read that I do not have a physical copy of, a lot of these were for Blackathon. I almost said Blackaweenathon again. Blackathon. The first is Neighborly. This is by Katrina Jackson. This was a very short novella with a lot of spice in it, about two couples. One moves into I think it's a duplex next to the other, and the two women spark up a relationship, a connection. I absolutely loved the amount of conversation and the amount of communication between the two couples in this. It was super great. There's not a whole lot to say past that. If you want a kind of spicy short novella with great communication and a polyamorous grouping, this is one to pick up. Then I read Worth It by Lady Marie. This was also really great as far as the communication goes. This is basically, I would call this a rom-com. This is a great rom-com in book format with a lot of spice. Again, it's a fake dating situation. Our main character goes on a date with this gentleman she's set up by her sister, and they hit it off, but she wants to focus on her career. Her family's been trying to set her up, and she's sick of it, but she decides she's going to focus on her career, and she tells him, exactly that. And he's like, okay, that's fine. Call me when you're ready to date. We really did have a connection. I'd like to see where it goes, but I understand where you're at. And then like 3 or 4 days later, maybe a week later, she accidentally blurts out that she's dating him. So because she has told them that they are they're dating, she fake dates him. She basically calls him up and says, hey, can you do me this favor? And he agrees on the stipulation that he can take her out for a real date for every fake date that they take. So super cute. There's a lot of spice in this one as well, so know that going in. But I really enjoyed it. And it read like a romance, like a rom-com kind of movie, and that's kind of my favorite movie genre, so it was pretty much made for me to enjoy. The next one was an arc, and that is The Black Guy Dies First. I started this one in January. I requested it shortly before it came out. And this is a nonfiction that explores black roles in horror movies, roles, trends, stereotypes in horror movies for black actors and actresses. I found this, as someone who knows very little about horror, very, very interesting and very readable. So the author makes it approachable. It's not too dense on like the minutia of the genre and the background of it. It's something that you can pick up and enjoy no matter what level you're at as far as like reading. If you super love horror, or you've never read horror, or you've never seen horror movies, most of these movies I've never seen. And this covers 1967 up to 2020, 2021. Get Out was the most recent movie I think that it covered. Get Out and Karen, I think was the name of the other one. But really, really interesting. It was interspersed with a lot of really funny lists and segments, that sort of thing. So that's something, if you like the topic or you're interested, I would recommend. Let's see, what am I missing? Okay. The next, I lied. I do have one other physical book with me. I'll do that one last because that's technically also currently reading. Second to last, this last Kindle book that I read, is Hen Fever this is by Olivia Waite, and this is a Victorian sapphic romance. It's very short. It's like 150 pages, maybe like more like 100 pages, 100 pages. It's 100 pages. And it focuses on two women who meet up after one woman chases down one of her rogue chickens and finds him in the midst of a flock of a rare chicken breed that her village thought had no longer existed, basically. It was once a breed that her village specialized in. It was their breed. They bred it there and raised it there exclusively, but over time, like a storm hit and the chickens died out, that sort of thing, and they thought they were all gone. She finds this flock in the forest with her rogue rooster, and while she's there waiting for night to fall so she can get him and possibly get them, because that would be a huge deal as someone who competes with chickens at the local village. She meets another woman who has moved into the estate that this land that she's on sits on, and they strike up a relationship. Very fun. Had a lot of chickens. I love chickens. It's a weird hobby, a weird thing I'm fixated on, but I do love chickens. And it's sapphic, which I also love sapphic romances, and this was super, super cute. I will say, for the length and how cute it was with the chickens, it also has some very heavy topics like survivor's guilt, PTSD. We're dealing with like toxicity of a family, being shunned and abandoned by your family, that sort of thing. So it does deal with that. Our heroine's romantic interest was the wife of a man in the Crimean War, and he passed away. So she stayed on with the forces while they were out and ended up working in the hospitals, ended up working with all of these other men and women who were there as husbands and wives and actual soldiers during the war. So she especially deals with a lot of survivor's guilt from that. But super loved this really short romantic novella. I definitely recommend. And the last thing that I read, and this will segue into my currently reading, was I read the first book in the Bad Guys series by Erin Blaby. That's a fun last name. That would be this one here. It's episode 1. This is middle grade, young reader, middle grade series from Scholastic that I laughed the entire way through. I have a small boy's sense of humor, so this was perfect for that. There's fart jokes. There is don't eat the cat, even though we're bad guys. It's about bad guys who want to be good guys. And Mr. Wolf here has come up with this, he's concocted this plan to become a good guy. And he has recruited the Piranha, who is a notorious bad guy, the Snake, and Mr. Shark right here. And they are off to do good deeds and become good guys. And with mixed results. I cannot wait to read the next one. In fact, I intend to read the next one while this video uploads. So, very fun if you have a young reader. So far, I highly recommend this. I have already added this series onto my spreadsheet as one to continue reading because it was so much fun. And so, like I said, the next thing I intend to read in this is the next one in this bind up. I'm going to read one of these a day because it's just a little spurt of hilarious joy for the day. I am also reading, let me grab them. Still reading Lord of the Rings. I was going to say not ashamed of how long it's taking me to read this, but I am. I am ashamed. I should be ashamed, and I am ashamed. So I'm still reading that. I have officially moved to the Kindle format. I am still keeping my notes in here, so I'll be tabbing and leaving notes. But this particular binding, I think it's because the text is so small. I'm having trouble reading it for long periods because I have to keep it held on the same page for a long period of time, and the spine isn't creasing easily for me, so this binding of this copy is causing me some problems with my hands. So moving to the Kindle version. Hopefully that will help me read it quicker. I also started How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I do not like Grady Hendrix. Unpopular opinion. I am aware. I have tried to read all of his books and have only successfully succeeded on one, and that was Horror Store, which I know a lot of people think is one of his weaker books. But that was the only one that I enjoyed. That was the only one I finished. All the other ones I DNF'd for various reasons. This one, I had sworn him off, but this is a haunted house story with creepy dolls and creepy, like, Christian church puppets. That's about all I've got so far. This girl's mother and father die very suddenly, and she has to return to Florida, where her deadbeat brother is, and they have to take the house apart and sell it, and they don't get along. And creepy things kind of start happening as soon as she gets there, and I love creepy houses, and I love creepy dolls and puppets, so I am doing pretty good. I am about 100 and, where am I at? 150 pages into this. I will definitely be finishing this the next day or two because this is due back at the library on Tuesday, and I know that one of the librarians has this on hold after me. So, more thoughts on this at the end of the month or in the next vlog, I'm sure. So we'll see. So far, like I said, I'm liking it. I just got to the part where her cousin just straight up walked out of the house after going through it very calmly and told them, "Your house is haunted. Once you get your house unhaunted, I'll sell it for you, but your house is haunted." And I just thought that was the funniest thing. We stand Mercy now. Mercy is the best character so far in this book. And I will be picking up Ancient Magus Bride Volume 11, probably today or tomorrow. As far as ARC reading, which I am super behind on, I need to finish Babel so I can finally turn that review in. And I am probably going to pick up the Castles in Their Bones sequel. I'm planning on doing a project where I read Castles in Their Bones and Stardust in Their Veins back to back. And we'll see there'll be a vlog up of that and a review and thoughts on that in one of my, hopefully, my next wrap up. That is it for my mid-month wrap up. This is a little bit of a longer one because it's 2 weeks worth. Hopefully I can edit it down a little bit. We'll see. But let me know what you think. What you've read so far, if you've read any of these, or you have any thoughts, any opinions, you want me to get to something faster, something faster than something else. And for any arcs, if you're interested in what I have coming up as far as arc reviews, all of that is on my Instagram, my Bookstagram Instagram account, which I keep linked down below. I have a highlight specifically for all of the arcs that I have out and reviews that are due, so you can always see what's coming up. But that is it from me. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye!